Welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us. Give me a wave if you can hear me. All right. This is a discussion on sexuality and the church. My name is Nancy Jones. I'm a master facilitator, and this is what I do. I facilitate conversations about very important topics, especially those that impact our community, especially those that impact women and girls. Now, what started everything was a song came out called WAP, okay? And this song was created by Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. And so does everybody know what WAP stands for? Nod your head if you do. Okay. For those of you who do not know, I'm going to say it one time for the church. I'm going to put spaces in between each word so that it doesn't overwhelm you, because when you put it all together, it's real strong. Okay? Brace yourselves, those of you that are sanctified. Okay. WAP stands for, the W is wet, the A is ass, the P is pussy. Put it together, WAP. Okay? First of all, it's vulgar, but it's very creative. I just got to say that. Okay. So on the radio, it's called Wet and Gushy. And some people are calling this an anthem to the sexual power of women, and others, specifically the church, are calling it disgusting, demonic, and all of these things. How many of you have seen the video? Okay. How many of you have not seen the video? Shake your head if you haven't. Oh, well, you're in luck. I'm going to do a quick little clip of the video. Not that I've watched it a lot of times, but just to give you an idea of what we're dealing with here. Can you tell me if you can hear it? Can y'all see that? Okay. I don't know if you caught the statues, but it was two naked women back to back with water coming out of their nipples. There's a butt statue. Okay, so that's Cardi B. Okay, so this saying wet and gushy. So the song you hear in the background is the old school song, There's Some Hoes in This House. Now, listen, my old college self, it's hard for me to hear this beat and not be like, you know, but then Jesus kick in and I'd be like, Okay, so it's pretty, she's basically talking about, look at my body, talking about how amazing her goodies are and all that kind of stuff. Okay, I'm not gonna make y'all watch the whole video. It's super artistic, super vulgar. I saw some eyebrows raised. I saw some woo. So here's the thing. This is what our young people are listening to. And if you run into any teenage girl, she's gonna know this song. And yes, oh my goodness. She's gonna know this song, and there are teenage girls listening to this as young as 13, probably younger than that, because Cardi B and Megan Thee are very, very popular. So because of my lifetime commitment to the development of women and girls, I wanted to have a discussion about how we as a culture handle these kind of things and its effect on how women and girls feel about themselves. Because how we feel affects everything about our lives, because females are feeling oriented, okay? So we know music gets into you, it makes you feel a certain kind of way, it can affect your mood and all of that stuff. Okay, so first, before we get started, I want to do what is called setting norms. And so I'm going to call on each one of you, and when I do that, unmute yourself and give me your suggestion of what a rule should be for our interaction today. So we want to make sure that all the ladies here feel heard, that we all contribute to the conversation, and that we feel safe to share and be open, honest, and vulnerable. So all we're doing is making like the 10 commandments for this experience. How are we going to conduct ourselves on this space, okay? So I will go first and say one rule is to not when someone gives their opinion, don't shoot it down. Don't say but, say and, okay? So if somebody says something that I don't agree with, I can't be like, yeah, but I'll just say, well, and, so that we make sure that everybody feels like their opinion matters, okay? Rashawn King, can you give me one? Unmute yourself. Give me a rule, please.
Yes. I would just say that we need to come into the space with no judgment at
Okay,
all.
absolutely. Not if you agree with that. Okay, Tasha.
Good morning, everyone. Um, so I think just being and listen, just being open to hear.
Open-minded. Okay, thank you, Tasha. Shayla, what's a
Good
rule?
morning. Um, I would say a rule is to listen to understand instead of listening to reply.
Like that. Have you been a facilitator? That's a good one. I like that. Dr. Thompson, can you give us one? Go ahead, mute yourself, Shayla. Unmute yourself, Dr. Thompson. You don't know how to do it? Oh, Lord, okay.
Yes, yes, yes. It, I would say listen to understand and not judge.
Okay, we got a lot of understanding and listening, okay? Dr. Thompson, can you take your shirt and wipe the camera so you don't look like you in heaven? Thank you. Quanda, what's the rule? I can't see you, but I know you're there. Quanda.
Okay, so I think we all have to learn this program. I would say maybe just to be open-minded about everyone's differences. I think that's probably along the lines of just respecting everyone else's difference of opinion.
Okay, sounds good. Quanda's my best friend. I like to tell people that. All right, Kelly Bell. Let's give me a rule.
I can't think of anything too much different than what everybody kind of said. My biggest thing was being open-minded and listening to understand, because we can't judge somebody's story, their perception, their reality. So agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree. Amen, church. Stephanie Lewis, I see you in the car. Be safe. Don't look at us, but tell us what kind of rule you would like us to implement.
Oh, I agree with the rules. Hi, everybody. I agree with the rules. I guess with the intention of think and speak with the
Okay, Stephanie, you're breaking up real bad. We're going to come back to you.
intention of evolving youth, right? So we want to think evolution type of.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. Who else do we have? We have Amber. Let's do Amber, then Gina, then Mama Archie.
So just come to learn, not just to speak your piece, but to, basically hear what everyone else has to say and take away from it.
Sounds good. Miss Gina?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I would say, similar to what you stated, if we hear a differing opinion, not to shoot it down, to take it and, just say, okay, I hear what you're saying. Here are my thoughts on it. So you don't have to say you agree, but you can acknowledge a differing opinion and share your own.
Thank you, Gina. Stephanie Lewis said, the lady who was in the car, but we couldn't hear her. She said, speak and listen with intention to evolve as a gender and empower ourselves in a healthy, balanced way. Wow, that came off nice, typed up. Thank you, Stephanie. Okay, Mrs. Archie.
Okay, I actually unmuted myself. Good morning, everybody. My thoughts are is that when you do these type of forums, it is to learn. It is to gain knowledge and to gain some wisdom of how we need to take the information and assimilate it, and put it all together so that we can empower ourselves to be what we need to be in life for life. That's how I look at this event. So hopefully that's it.
Okay, thank you. All right, Brandy just got here too. We set a significant amount of norms. So normally when I facilitate, it's a very large group of people and we have a referee that will blow the whistle if someone breaks one of these rules. Since each of you made up a rule, just pay attention. And if anyone breaks a rule, chime in and say, unmute yourself, say, hey, we're not doing that today, okay? All right, so moving forward, here's the disclaimer. We are not discussing sexual orientation or premarital sex. We know how the church feels about that, and everybody has a different opinion about that. You want to know, read your Bible. That's not what we're doing today, excuse me. Sex is a very broad topic, so we have to be specific about what we're talking about. This discussion is about how prominent sexuality is in pop culture and how it affects females and the taboo of sex in church and how it affects Christian marriages. That's it. That's what we're focusing on, okay? And Christian relationships. All right. If you have any input to give at any time, please use your chat box, and I'll be checking that, and I'll read it off. And of course, since we don't have as many people as we thought we were gonna have, all of you will get a chance to speak your piece, all right? So I have to drive this conversation. Please don't feel rushed, but no, I wanna cover a lot of information, and I wanna hear from all of you. If we don't cover everything, we'll do a part 2. You ready? Let's open up with prayer, especially after watching that video. Lord God, bless this time that we have together. Let us express our thoughts and ideas with honesty, love, and respect to gain a greater understanding and create solutions. For your glory and in your name we pray, amen. All right, so fun icebreaker. I want each one of you to introduce yourselves by giving me your name, your expertise. Okay, by expertise, I mean what qualifies you to be a part of this discussion, and you are qualified, that's why you're here. And then number 3, the first word that comes to mind when you think of sex. Ooh, y'all weren't ready for that third one. Here we go. Name, your expertise, and when you hear the word sex, what do you think about? All right, let's start with, let me see, I'm gonna start with Tasha. I know you were ready. Go ahead, Tasha. Name,
Yes, came ready.
Sex.
Good morning again. I am Miss Tasha King. I am name, what qualifies me, right?
Expertise, yes.
So I am a certified sexual health and wellness coach. I am a mother of an 18-year-old daughter and a 13-year-old son. And I was a teenager once, and I was a young woman, and I'm a married woman and I also grew up in the church. So the first word that comes to my mind when I think of sex is creation.
That's good. I want to snap for that one almost. Thank you, Tasha.
Thank you.
All right. Tasha, can you see the other participants?
Some of them, yes.
Okay, never mind, because I was just going to have you select someone else. I'll do it. Okay, Kwanda. Your turn. Name, expertise, sex.
Okay, my name is Luquanda Colston. I would consider myself an expertise. I am recently divorced, but I was with my ex-husband for 20 years. I have 3 boys, and I have the privilege of having grew up in the church, and then kind of discovered a different spirituality path. And so just having the church's view from how I was raised, as well as a more spiritual view from just an African standpoint. So
don't forget about sex.
And what I think about when I think about sex is, how do I put it?
Just say it.
I guess misunderstanding.
Okay.
And I say that because some of us have the opportunity to view sex as an art as opposed to something bad. So just a misunderstanding.
Okay, misunderstanding. Thank you. All right, Rashawn. Name, expertise, sex.
Hello, everyone. I am Rashawn King. Expertise. I also grew up in the church. I was a teenage mother. I do have 2 children, one 24, the other is 21. I'm also a grandmother of 4. Yes, ma'am. I always get that reaction. I have been married to my husband going on 16 years in a couple of weeks. And when I think about sex, the first word that comes to my mind is love.
Y'all are so sweet and wholesome. First of all, your skin told me that you're not a grandmother. Stop lying.
Can I just tell you that makeup is it? My skin is not perfect. Don't get it twisted.
You got that cocoa butter regime. Don't lie. Okay.
All right.
So thank you so much for sharing. Amber.
I'm here. I'm Amber Faniel.
What I think or believe qualifies me is that I too was a teenager at one time. Um, I am. I have also grown up in the church, so I have a perspective in reference to what sex should be. I also have had a traumatic history, so I want to share with people. And I feel like this is a way to be able to do that, um, and to encourage people in conversation. And when I think about sex, I think about intimacy and connectedness.
Thank you so much. Y'all making me feel like a perv because y'all saying y'all think of sex. Wait till you hear my answer. All right. Thank you. I'm having a difficult time keeping track of who I'm calling on because I'm all over the place. Miss Kelly Bell, can you give me your answers? I already gave me your name, but.
Yes, my name is Kelly Bell. Expertise, quite a few things I would say. I am a wife, going on 13 years, mother of 4 boys, ordained minister, life coach, working in education, so working with a lot of students, you know what I mean, to be able to really hear their on different things. So got a little bit of everything from every avenue, from the church aspect, degree in seminary, from the education aspect, and then life experience and being able to coach other women. What do I think when I hear the word sex? I think it's good. Like I want something.
Hey, come on now.
I don't know, like I don't want to be, like Safety Net said, it was like now the deeper meanings, but the first thing, like if you think of the first thing, you know what I mean? Because that was the question, right? Mm-hmm. So the first thing that comes to mind is I'm enjoying what God created.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. All right, I feel a little bit better. No, y'all answers are great. Okay, let's see. How about this? Y'all start chiming in because I can't keep track of y'all. Okay, here we go. First person to say something, talk. And if you hear somebody talking, don't talk.
Hey, good morning. This is Gina.
Hey, Gina.
Hi. So I'm not on video because I'm out walking the dog and I'm trying to multitask a little bit. But for this, I'll turn the video on. So good morning, everyone. My name is Gina Abel. I am a licensed mental health counselor, but for this purpose, I am a woman who grew up in the church and who's interested to learn and hear during this presentation. For me, what I think about sex is that it's fun, it's great, it can be hurtful, as well as healing in a sense, but it's very important to expose it at the right time, the right way to young people. But that's it I can think.
Thank you so much, Gina. Yes, this is going to be shared with teenagers and their mothers as a conversation piece. So think about that. What do we want them to know about sex if they haven't done it, if they started and don't know how to stop or feel like they shouldn't stop? Think about that, okay? Mrs. Archie, I see you. Have you unmuted yourself?
I was trying to fix my face so you could actually see me, and this has been a week. But anyway, my name is Emily Bonnie Archie. My expertise, I would say, I was married for 33 years to Kelly's father, and then we divorced, and then I'm currently remarried. I guess it's been 3 years. 4 kids, 9 grandkids. So, and also as administrator working at a middle school. So you know how the sex, all that kind of stuff. So been around that for a while. I mean, I'm a chuckle. I'm gonna say, you said, what's the first thing that you thought of when you said the word sex? And I thought of Denzel. I'm sorry, that it goes to my mind like.
Dr. Thompson, feel you on that one.
I'm sorry. That's a fine man there. And so you think of, really think of warmth. I think of connectivity when I think about sex. So that's me.
Somebody text Melvin and tell them that sorry.
No. He went to the barbershop, so he didn't get a chance to hear me say that. So
Thank you. All right. Who else we got on here? Y'all jump in. Don't be shy.
All right. Hi. Good morning. This is Brandy. And I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm in the car. That's why I'm not on video. But I'm Brandy. Let's see, expertise. I have been married. I was married for a little over 10 years. to the son of a bishop and a pastor. I have an 18-year-old son and a 14-year-old daughter. And first thing that I think of when it comes to sex, sharing.
That's very sweet. Thank you, Brandy. Okay, go ahead and mute yourself so we can't hear your car running. All right. Who else do we have? Oh, Lord. Somebody waiting to get in.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, my name is Ella Thompson. My expertise is social worker, 35 years in public education, been saved, a relationship with the Lord since high school. So that's my area of expertise. When I hear the word sex, the first thing that comes to mind is fun.
Fun, thank you. Yes, 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 it should be. Somebody else jump in. Shayla, you being too quiet. Come on in the room, Shayla.
My name is Shayla Snipes. And my expertise, I'm married. I have a son who's 9 years old.
Hey, you're breaking up really bad. Can you shake it up or move around or something? We can't hear you. It sound like RoboCop. Is that a delay? Okay, somebody else, wait, hold up, Shayla, get that together. Somebody else jump in. Nicole, we got Nicole, we have Tiffany. Tiffany, you can jump in. We're doing our name, our expertise, and what comes to mind when we hear the word sex.
Okay, just a moment. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Tiffany Woodburn. I am an esthetician and makeup artist, a mother of 3 and a wife, and I love sex.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that, yeah, I love sex, and I'm a Christian and love sex.
Come on,
and I'm not ashamed to say it, and I think you shouldn't be ashamed to say it. I even talk about sex with my children freely because I don't want them to, they're going to experience it in the world anyway. So I introduce it to them and let them know it's nothing wrong with it. It's just the right way to do it, to be married and everything like that. So I'm all for this chat.
I knew you would be, boo, with the pink out. Okay. Anybody else? Shayla, type your answers in because you were real choppy and we couldn't hear. If there's not anybody else, then I'll go ahead and give y'all my answers and make you uncomfortable. Y'all ready? Uh-oh, who is that? Nicole! Nicole, unmute yourself.
Okay, there we go. Can you hear me?
Hey, Nicole.
All right. Hey, I'm driving. I didn't know everybody was saying hi, but
name.
My name's Nicole. Expertise. I don't know that I don't have no titles or nothing. I'm a nurse. Been a Christian since I was about 11. Kind of grew up in and out of the church, so some of my viewpoints on sex come from that. So I would say when I was younger, it was more like I'm interested, what is this? And now it's just like fun and exciting. That's what I think of. And also like a sharing and a connectedness thing. So yeah, that's where I am with that. Was anything else? Because I missed the beginning.
No, that's it. That's it. Okay, we're going to push on through. Okay. Thank you, ladies, for sharing your answers. Oh, I got to give mine. So my name is Nancy Jones, as I mentioned before. My expertise, I think y'all misunderstood me with expertise. I have a vagina and a Bible. That's my expertise. And when I think about sex, what comes to mind is hot. It'd be hot and sweaty. And right after you want to turn the fan on. You know what I'm saying? If you're doing it right. Okay. So I just want y'all to know I'm here to bring the fun. We're going to have a good time. And I'm going to try my best to make you uncomfortable. I think the more we talk about it and the more we're open about it, the more we'll be equipped to speak to teenagers about it. Because I'm telling you, these pop artists are not shy in talking about it. You don't have to be vulgar, but you don't have to be timid about the conversation. Sex has been around since we've been around, and we don't need to be shy about it, okay? So that's why I'm just gonna, my answers are gonna be a little bit more risque, just to let you know, because I'm trying to guide this conversation in a certain direction. Okay. Okay. Now here are the questions for our panelists. Now our panelists are Kelly Bell and Tiffany Woodburn, Tasha King, and Sean King. So those are the 4 ladies that these questions are for, that are going to be answering verbally. We have extra time. I want to hear from everybody else too, or if you have any thoughts, just put it in the chat. Are y'all ready? So we're going to go in the order of Tiffany Woodburn first, Tasha King, Sean King, and then Kelly Bell will bring in the last answer. Y'all got it? Can y'all hear me? I don't see anybody. I don't hear anybody. Y'all good? Okay. So panelists, you can go ahead and unmute yourselves. The first question is, what do you wish you knew about sex before you experienced it? Tiffany, that's you first. And try to keep your answers brief and succinct, straight to the point. What do you wish you knew about sex before you experienced it? Okay, let's jump to Tasha King.
What did I wish I knew about sex before I had sex? I wish I knew that sex does not equal love.
Mm-hmm.
Sex does not equal he likes me, he wants me and him together now.
Mm-hmm.
And that I wish I knew that I'm sacred and I should value myself as that.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Rashawn.
I wish I would have, similar to Tasha, the conversation that I had was just don't do it, which in turn made me want to do it, because I'm like, well, your mama don't want you to do it, well, why not? I wish I would have been able to have conversations about, just like she said, that, hey, just because you do that, it doesn't mean that they want you or that you are together. Also, more talks about self-worth and knowing that my cookie wasn't for everybody.
Cookie, that's the term. All right. Who we got next? Kelly?
I think I wish I knew about sex before is that I wish I knew it was good. I wish I knew it was an okay thing. Because growing up in the church, you're just taught you don't have sex before you married.
Mm-hmm.
To that very little. Like I always grew up like, God, I just want you to be so happy with me. Like that was my approach with it. So it was like I really stayed away from it. But the things that I put in my mind to try to suppress those feelings, you get what I'm saying? Because you thought like you going to hell if you feeling horny. You get what I'm saying? So the things that I put in my brain to suppress that did not just go away when I got married. So I wish I knew that it's okay to enjoy it.
I like
That's
that.
good.
I think that, do you ladies think, all of you, that there's a double standard when it comes to sex for men and women as far as being able to enjoy it, thinking about it? Do we expect that from boys but not from girls, and is that fair in our society? Are women allowed to be sexual without being demonized?
I think it's definitely a double standard. Men are definitely kind of told, try it out. See, this is what you're supposed to do. It's supposed to feel good. Bag as many as you can. And girls are told you have to stay pure, or you won't catch a husband.
Thanks.
You won't catch a husband. And we told too that like Miss Kelly said, that it's gonna hurt. You're gonna get a disease, you're gonna get a baby. There's nothing joyous, fun, loving about it.
That's traumatizing. Oh my
It is.
God.
Very. There's definitely a double standard. Men, if they have a lot of women, they're like, ooh, that's the man. But if there's a woman who's very sexual and, we should not have many partners, but many of us have. But because a woman wants to enjoy sex and her sexuality, then she's deemed a hoe, and that's not okay.
Everybody in the comments is saying double standard, so we all agree.
Absolutely.
But I wanted to add, can I add something that?
Okay.
Because the only thing, like, I think, because yeah, it is a double standard, but like my mind goes back to, like, say, when you think about during the Bible times, when them kings had hundreds of wives and like all binds, you know, and it makes you think, like, even before right now society, like back in those days, that thought process, you know, what would it have been if a queen had a whole, I call concubine side chicks? What if, you know what I mean?
Right.
Had a whole bunch of side dudes and also a whole bunch of husbands. That would be unheard of. So it's kind of like it just has been brought down, period, where what it was.
Sure.
That's good. Now, so what do you think that girls need to know about sex that they might not know? Because you know they think they know everything.
They do.
Because they've been watching these videos, they've been watching porn and all this kind of stuff, so they think it's good all the time, no matter what, and all this kind of stuff. So what is it that they need to know that they don't know? Tiffany, you ready yet? She not here? Okay, she got kicked out. I'll try to bring her back in. Let's go to Tasha.
So what I like to teach is that there's a whole bunch of consequences that extend beyond the physical. There's a spiritual, emotional, so many different consequences, to social consequences to having sex. And while it's not bad, you really need to make sure you consider every consequence before you decide to engage in something that that is that important.
Important, that's a good word.
That is, and that.
Let me share a couple of comments because I'm getting behind on the comments. So first of all, I thought this was interesting. Shayla Snipe says when she thinks of sex, she thinks of trouble. We're gonna double back on that. What kind of trouble you talking about? Good trouble or bad trouble, okay? And then Dr. Thompson says it's not just a physical act, okay? That's true. And Amber says it's sex is spiritual. There is no condom for the heart. Somebody been listening to Michael Todd. And okay, so we're caught up. So those are great comments. All right, so that was Tasha. Rashawn, what do you think girls need to know about sex that they might not know?
Hey, it's gonna hurt the first time, but also that it's not a bad thing, but also I have to piggyback off of what Tasha said. A lot of young girls don't realize the consequences. Having a baby is just one. We don't talk about the sexually transmitted diseases, some of them that you can get rid of and some of them that you can't. And also, they don't even know about their body. The vagina is so much more than just a hole that someone puts their penis in.
Right.
So I feel like they need to learn about all parts of the vagina. They need to learn about their cervix and why they need to have pap smears and even their breasts, just their body as a whole. I just feel like a lot of, even us growing up, I wasn't told that about STDs, you know, any of that, you know, and it can be very detrimental. It's not just a physical act. There is physical, emotional things that can happen to your life. Let's talk about cancers that are that you can get from sexually transmitted diseases. It's so much more than a physical act.
And thank you. I want to check here. Are girls constantly being told about the consequences of sex, and boys told about the rewards and the benefits and the enjoyments of sex? How come the girls and the boys are not viewing sex the same way? Kelly, can you answer that for me?
Ask it one more time.
Do you think that girls and boys are being taught the same things about sex? And if not, why not? Like, in my opinion, I believe that we're constantly warning girls about the bad things that can happen from sex. And when it comes to boys, at least the men to the boys, it's more like celebrate it, you know? What do you think about that?
So, I don't think it's taught the same in both avenues, but I think there's two different approaches to looking at it, even when it comes. Am I echoing to y'all?
Girl, go ahead, talk. We can hear you.
Okay. I think it's also, we have to keep in consideration the different the ways that it's taught. So if you're coming from a household of faith, you get what I'm saying, that's one way that it's taught. And if you're coming from a household where Christ is not the foundation of it, it's going to be taught a different way. So I feel like there's two different arenas in regards to what individuals would need to know in those areas, whether you're Christian based or you're not. But I definitely feel that it comes up in a way where boys, when they're taught about it, it's okay if you try it. You know, it's okay if you don't wait till you get married. You know, just try it out. Yeah, you want to be safe. You want to wrap it up. You don't want to get somebody else pregnant. But then on the flip side, as female, I think what everybody's saying, you're taught to be pure. You're taught to be whole. Whether you are, I don't know, I think that's where it's subjective. I think it gets subjective because it really depends on your household. It really depends on the person who's teaching you. Because some women they're taught growing up, hey, you use what you got. That's your power. That's what you got. Then you got some women, if you're coming up in a Christian household, it's like, you better stay away from sex. Taught to enjoy what to do when those emotions come up. You know, and then you've got some that are just experiencing whether they're dealing with lesbianism, you get what I'm saying, or dealing with being attracted to the same sex. I think overall, the biggest thing that needs to be changed with the trajectory of teaching women, young girls and boys, is they need to be able to express how they feel, whether it's right or wrong, but you don't know what they're doing from outside sources. So unless you're able to have a conversation with someone, that was something I would tell the girls who are watching this, talk to somebody about how you feel, not just your friend, somebody you can trust so they can really give you an individualized way of dealing with what you're dealing. There's no one cookie cutter way to teach a boy or a girl about sex.
Yeah, sex is very personal. Can y'all hear me? Tell me if I'm breaking up. Am I breaking up a little bit? Okay. So if I break up too bad, I'm gonna have to get off and get back on, and Kelly's gonna babysit until I get back on. Okay. I'm gonna read some of the comments. Ooh, Brandy says a lot of responsibility comes with the act of sex. Emily says they need to know about the emotional ties that are created. Are emotional ties created for men, for males also, or is that just a female thing? Is that a myth? Is that true? Can somebody tell me that? Because I don't know if all girls care about emotions. We'll come back to that. Parents are fearful of what can happen to their daughters. Shayla said, my parents told me that girls bring home the baby and boys don't. I hated that and it made me rebellious. Boys are being taught that sex is power, says Amber, and girls are always being taught not to give their power away. We are taught that we are losing something when we engage. That was good. Brandy says some aren't taught these things at all in the home, and it's taboo, and they learn it from pop culture. Tawana says, I agree, girls were taught they will bear the burden more so than boys. Yeah, we put a lot of pressure on our girls. Okay, let's shift to another question. Why is sex so taboo in church, and how do we change that? I want to hear from Dr. Thompson. Can you answer that question? Why is sex so taboo in church? I put you on the spot.
Okay.
Ready for that.
I think it's taboo in the church because people aren't being real. I'd say it's like a don't ask, don't tell. You know, you have single adult Christians that aren't celibate, so you just kind of ignore the conversation as a whole, because a teenager these days will ask you, well, are you doing it? And then you're going to have to be honest, or you're going to have to lie. You know, so I think it's avoidance because of the don't ask, don't tell mentality. I don't think we're ready to have those honest conversations and be transparent about the challenges and what do you do with those emotions when they come up. So they just ignore it and set it over there because they have to tell their own dirt, you know, in order to address it or what they're struggling with right now. I think that's the main thing. They know what the Bible says about it. Sometimes a lot of the single adults aren't living that way either. So instead of being hypocritical and have it come out of their mouth, it's just don't ask, don't tell, and leave it to the parents. I think that's one of the issues with the church and having an open, honest conversation about it. You know, I'm in my white every first Sunday. I'm sitting in the deaconess corner or the mother's corner. And I don't necessarily want you to know that I was a hoochie, you know, when I was your age, or that I did some things.
Yeah, they sit in that white dress, horny as all get out and trying to shake it off. You brought up a great point, and it's just honesty. Honesty and a lack of judgment, I think would really improve the church culture in regards to dealing with youth and sex. Because what I love about young people, they're so honest and they know when they're being lied to. And when I was single, I was not celibate, and I didn't know anybody who was in the church. And but it's like we had to put on this facade. I didn't put on the facade well, so I wasn't invited to the parties. But you were supposed to put on this facade, like tell it like how you be, how it should be, not how it is. And I think we do a disservice to our young people when we're not honest and say, hey, hey, once you start having sex, boy, it's like crack. You can't just stop like that. It's like trying to stop a locomotive train. So if you're gonna start, make sure you're ready to keep on doing and keep on repenting and getting tired of repenting, and it's a strong pull on your feelings and your body.
It's a stronghold.
Yeah, it's a stronghold. So and it's very natural. I remember sitting in it was a church service, but it was for young people, and I was being too real for them, I guess. And I was like, everybody was giving these textbook answers about sex, and I knew everybody was in their 20s. I said, I'm not the only one nipples hard in here. Why y'all act like y'all ain't got no feelings? You don't get no, you don't feel no, I just, I pray. And I was like, and so I started trying to call people out, and they almost asked me to leave. But I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. I'm just like, let's be honest, so we can talk about some tools that'll help us if we want to live a celibate life. Let's talk about some tools that can help us, because you got feelings. If you're in your 20s, you popping. You got the wop, and you got the wet and gushy, and then you ain't even got to do nothing to get it. You just can sit there. So you're gonna have feelings. So I wanted to tell y'all this funny story to introduce the idea of mothers having open conversations with their daughters. My mother is on this call. I'm not gonna say which one she is, but I don't know how old I was. I was getting ready to eat a smoked sausage, and for some reason, at 12, I thought about a penis. And so I walked up to my mother and said, "Is this what a penis looks like?" And my mother said, "Unfortunately, not all of them, but some of them, yes." So then began our relationship where I felt comfortable talking to her about sex. And the first time that I had sex, I was in college. My mother was the first person I called. And I knew growing up Christian that I was supposed to do it, but I remember telling her, I'm going to do it. I just want you to know the way I'm feeling, I'm going to do it. And I just need you to know that. And she didn't judge me. And then when I was done, I called her. I think I called her after he left, and I was like, I did it, because we had that kind of relationship. And she didn't make me feel like a crazy person or a whore. She was like, yeah, you're in your 20s, I get it. It's hard. So it's very important to have a good relationship with your mother, talk stuff like that. How many of you were impacted by your relationship with your parents and it affected how you viewed sex? Yes or no? Yes.
Yes. Can I just say your mom is
Yes.
amazing? Your mom is amazing for you to be able to have those conversations with her. I love my mom. We're like this. We talk every day, but I do wish that we would have had more conversations so that I was aware of what I was getting into. I was extremely young. So I had my first child at 17. When she was about 12 or 13, I told my mom, like, hey, I'm going to have this conversation with her, because I know what I went through. Like, my friends were like, oh, you need to do it because it's going to hurt. Like, it was going to hurt anyway. But all I kept thinking about was, oh, I have to hurry up and do it so, it doesn't hurt. And my mom didn't talk to me about STDs. The only thing she said was, hey, you can get pregnant, so just don't do it. So when I decided to have the conversations with my daughter, like, I went all in. I showed her, pictures of penis, pictures of vaginas. I also showed her those pictures with diseases on them. Like, you just don't know. We talked about AIDS. We talked about everything. And so my mom's like, that is just too much. Why are you telling her all that? And I told her, because you didn't tell me. And I want her to be aware. And if something does happen, it's not for lack of knowledge.
Right.
And so in turn, my daughter did end up being a teenage mom as well. She got pregnant at 17, had her first baby at 18. Did she come to me and tell me, hey, I'm going to have sex? She didn't. But we grew up in the church, went to the church with my mama. Even though I opened up the forum for her, she still didn't feel comfortable coming to me as a mom. And I get that. That's okay. But when she did come to me, I did try to get her on something. She we were in Ohio at the time, and she was bucking up against me like, well, no, I don't want to get on birth control because this is happening with my friends. Their hair falling out, pimples, they're getting big. And I tried to explain to her, hey, if you get pregnant, you may get pimples. You may get,
Okay.
you're going to get big. Your hair may come out. So baby, birth control. But the doctor was like, you know, we can't force her to take anything. And then she was pregnant a year later. So, hey, she's 3 babies in now, but I had the conversation with her. It wasn't for lack of knowledge. So I just really feel like we have to tell our girls about these things so that they're aware, you know, and if they do it, you know, we don't want them to, but if they, you know, before marriage, because I wish I would have waited, but I didn't. So I kind of lived this life, you know, full of shame because the church was like, that's a bad thing. You know, you got babies now, you know, you're tarnished, those type of things. So I just think we need to let people know that sex is okay and that you're not, you know, tarnished goods because you have sex.
I want to make sure y'all please take notes because there's some great topics coming up that we need to discuss on part 2. Because like I said, this is deep. When you said that about the shaming of the teen moms in the church, nothing pisses me off more than that, what we do to girls when they have a baby and what the church does and how the church responds to it. So let's write that down. We got to put that in the parking lot.
At the time I went to a Pentecostal church, and, you know, I wanted to have my baby blessed just like everybody else was having their baby blessed, but I couldn't have my baby blessed in front of everybody because I was a single mother. And even with my second child, it was the same thing because I had another child at 21, you know, and then they stopped doing that and started, you know, allowing all mothers to have their babies blessed, which is beautiful. I'm glad, but, you know, I was just like, well, what makes me different from this, you know, what makes my baby different from that person's baby, you know? So it is a lot of emotional scars that, you know, even I have from being in the church, but, you know, I love Jesus and that's what I represent, Jesus Christ, you know?
Yeah, you got to focus on him.
Religion is religion. I still love God. I'm a Christian. I still love sex. I'm a Christian. You know, I love God and that's it.
Okay, that's good. That's the way to stay positive because I was about to get mad. Okay, let's see. Woo, we got a couple comments and we're gonna go back to the questions. Oh, Nicole says men get tied emotionally too and make decisions based off of sex. Wait a minute, Nicole, who you done turned out that got emotional? Come on now. Let's see. Gina says 90% of the time the discussion about sex is one way, parents to kids. It needs to be two-way discussion. That is so good, Gina. Parents give info and kids feel safe enough to ask questions and give opinions. That's really good. Somebody write that down. Let's see. Shayla said there should be more forums, especially in churches, to talk to teens. Yes. I think are scared in the churches is Amber because religion teaches punishment rather than education and acceptance as well as repentance and redemption. Very good. Oh my gosh. I hope I can like copy and paste these comments. It's truly a disservice that we're teaching, a dishonest service that we're teaching our girls. If more mothers have, okay, we're talking about mothers, telling our girls the most important part. They have the information and knowledge. It's up to them after. It's their life. It really is. Miss Emily says, I lived in a family with 3 older brothers and my mother was the one who told them which condoms to purchase. All right. Doll baby. Yeah, we can't say the chat. Okay, we can say the chat. Thank you, Nicole, because I'm like, I got to figure out a way to download these. We're going to write a book off of this. Okay. Taboo in the church. Anybody else have anything to say about why sex is so taboo in the church and how we can change that?
Touch on that. I think Amber's comment was very good about the you know, if you have sex, you're going to hell. You know what I mean? The punishment, and I even think what Dr. Thompson put in, it makes you have to open up. You have to be transparent. And I think it's a generational thing that just keeps happening. Your grandmama, mama's mama. Church is so traditional in these forms of godliness that it really takes somebody bold enough to break it, to stop it and say, I'm going to be outside of the box and address it because it just isn't taught. But it's like, I think my thing as I look at it, you can take it right from the Bible. You can go straight from scripture if you want to talk about the goodness of sex and what it was created and the intent, you know, to do it. But it does, honestly, Dr. Thompson hit the nail on the head. You know what I mean, with it, because women don't want to express, hey, I had these urges. I did act on these urges. I made these mistakes. But guess what? God's grace still covered me. Not that I know that it's accepted, but I was covered. And because I was covered, and let me teach you what I learned from my mistake. I think do better for people than just saying no, 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 no. Let me tell you what I went through when I made that connection with that man and how hard it was for me to get him out of my system. You tell that story to a young lady, she gonna think twice because she not gonna know what's gonna attach to her when she has sex with that guy. More than you saying the STD, more than you saying you gonna have a baby, because some women just gonna get an abortion anyway. That doesn't. That's no offense to anybody who has it. That doesn't deal with the psychology behind it. Those are just symptoms. But let me teach you about the psychology of that connection and how long a stronghold you about to have with this man, and you crying over him 3-4 years later, and you don't even really know why. You know, let's talk about those type of things. And it takes a boldness from the church, and I think people are rising right now, and it's going to start happening. There's going to be a shift in the dialogue, and you can come straight from the book. It's right in the book. I can give you scripture right from the King of Solomon's, touching on your woman's breast, kissing, and it's all in the book. People just are nervous to talk about it, but you know, it is what it is. It's gonna shift. It's gonna change.
Kelly, what that brought to my attention, brought to mind was this concept. It's an unspoken belief in the church that there is a hierarchy of sin, and that the sins that we can see, drinking, smoking, having sex, those are the top 3. You know what I mean? Because everybody can see it and it embarrasses us. But all of the other ones that nobody knows about, what's going on in your mind and your heart, like the lying, the gossip, and that kind of stuff that you can kind of hide, we don't deal with those. We only want to deal with don't have sex, don't drink, don't smoke, with these teenage girls. And it's like, can we just understand that we were born in sin, shaped in iniquity, and we're going to always have to deal with our sin nature. And sex is and this sex is a very natural desire. So in certain contexts, you're talking about sin, but outside of the sin context, it's natural. So the feeling's going to be there regardless. So I just don't like the fact that, because I was talking to my mentee, that we just make sex just up here like one for women. They're like, you do this, you die, and there are all these consequences. But yeah, we have to have open and honest conversations in the church about it, and have forums like this. Okay, so who's married here? Hands up. We got a couple. Let me open my screen. Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, we have quite a few. And who's been married, divorced? Okay. All right. So now we're going to talk about sex and marriage. How has the church affected your sex life in marriage? Okay, I'm gonna tell y'all this quick story that I heard, and then I'm gonna get the questions from you. So I believe in open and honest communication, period, in life, because it's too hard to hide, it's too hard to lie. I can't remember the lie. I don't want to do that. So there was this pastor who had a wife, and I don't know if he was a minister, and he started wanting to experiment sexually with some things. And he had such an open relationship with his wife, he actually started thinking about cheating. And he went to his wife and said, I need to tell you something. She said, what? He said, I've been thinking about cheating a lot. And she didn't respond the way I would have. And she said, well, why do you want to cheat? What's the reason? And then he shared with her, there's some things that I'm interested in doing, and I don't try you like that. I just put you in such a pedestal, and I know you may not want to do that, and da-da-da-da. Because, some men, especially in church, have a Madonna whore complex, which means you're either pristine and untouched, or you're a complete whore. And so he was suffering from that. And his wife said, well, what kind of things are you talking about? And they had a discussion about it. And she was like, well, I wanted to try some of that too. And he was like, really? And so they did. And they avoided the pain and the mistake of infidelity. He felt come to her and say, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm wanting, and I don't know what to do about it. So how has church affected your sex life in marriage? And I know it's private, but share what you can. Let's start with Tasha. Tasha, you still there?
I'm here. It has definitely not affected me at all. Period. I enjoy sex with my husband. We have great sex. I've no taboos. around sex. I read that scripture that says the marriage bed is undefiled, and I believe that, and I live by that. And we go all the way with it in our bedroom. So no, it has not affected me. But can I say something though, back on about the parent issues, about the relationship? My mother was a woman who was super open as well. I remember when I told my mother I was having sex. Let me say this disclaimer: I had already been having sex, but I just decided to tell her, and his response was, "Well, did you come?" Right. So, so she was open, but not necessarily in all the right ways. And so it was okay to be open with her, with young people, and tell them about how good it is. There still has to be some levels of understanding that maybe I needed to know about, did he wear a condom? You know, maybe there needed to be some other, well, how you feeling? Do you like it? You know, how is that going at school? Has the word got out? Because it had. And that's why I had told her, because I was embarrassed, right? But that's not where the conversation went. So I just wanted to throw it out there, because we say a lot of stuff sometimes, but we have to make sure we're talking to that child. You know what I mean? And while it is good, there are other implications involved, and that needs to have a conversation around it.
A well-rounded conversation. Good, bad, ugly, and indifferent. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Thank you for sharing, Tasha. Rashawn?
Yes, ma'am.
You're married, right?
The church hasn't affected my sex and marriage at all. I love having sex with my husband. So
Okay.
I'm good. I'm good there.
Good to go. Good to go. Check.
Yeah.
Sex, check. Okay, good. All right. Any other married woman want to share?
Yeah, it messed me. Is somebody else talking?
They enjoy having sex.
Oh, Miss Patsy. Hey, Miss Patsy. Miss Patsy.
Yes.
Hey, what you want to say?
Hey, I just want to say that, oh no, the church haven't affected my sex life at all. Not at all.
Okay. Okay. Look, with that smile on your face, we can tell. Tell your husband, good job. Thank you very much.
I sure will.
Okay, Miss Kelly.
It affected me a whole lot, because I took it very literal when I was taught, if you do this, God gonna be mad at you. I so wanted to please God growing up. You get what I'm saying? Like that was just my thing. Like even in high school, I'm not saying like I got married and I was a virgin, but the things that I did subconsciously, you get what I'm saying, to tell my psyche to suppress my sexual feelings and desires, or whether it was oral sex, no, my mouth is not for that, it's for the Lord. Like these are things that I was telling myself to, that I was telling myself so that I can, in my way, you know, I'm obeying God. And I thought, you know, once I got married, oh, I'll be good. Because, you know, there was a part of wanting to enjoy sex, but not realizing it took me years to really go through all of the layers of all the things that I told myself. What's my big, you know, biggest issue? You would have never caught me talk about sex with anybody like this a couple years ago. You understand what I'm saying? Because it really just took that long. Nope, that's private. You don't talk about that with anybody. You don't share that, because that's what you saw. My perception, you know what I'm saying, as well. And you didn't get much of the healthy conversation of it. So it was a very long process for me, you get what I'm saying, to be able to get to a point where I am now. You get what I'm saying? Like, yo, let's go. You know, but it took a while. And my husband and I had to work through that, because he came from being very sexually experienced before, you get what I'm saying, to getting with me. So having to grow together, him being patient with me learning him, you know, the whole different aspects. So it was rough. I'm gonna be honest, it was very rough. Like I really wish I had some people that were bold enough, and whether it was in a forum or not, but just somebody could be like, you know, let me talk to you for real. Let me see what's in your brain, because one thing, you know what I mean, but what's really going on deep down inside of them, you know. So for that young little church girl that's taking these things literal, that's the girl I want to talk to. You get what I'm saying? And really get hold of, because they take it in a whole nother way.
Thank you for sharing that and being vulnerable enough to share that. I love that we all have perspectives and different experiences. I really want the girls to know, because I feel like Christian marriages have a bad rap. I think teenagers, guys and girls view it as like, it ain't about to be nothing fun. You know what I mean? You know how this culture views marriage. Somebody brought up the marriage bed is undefiled. I love that in marriage, and I want to hear this from the married women, then we're going to jump off of marriage. But I love that in marriage, personally, you have your playmate. Like this, like what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do. His body belongs to you, your body belongs to him. And you know he's not going to leave in the morning. You know what I'm saying? And I remember having a conversation with a Christian friend of mine who hadn't experienced as much. Her freak level was a lot lower than mine. And she came up to me and said, do you talk dirty? I said, yeah, you gotta listen. And that's just my thing. But I could tell because of her upbringing, there was a lack of comfort in being verbal in that space with her husband. So I just want to encourage the married women to, I think it's great for married women to talk about sex to teenage girls, because we really want them to have it in that context. We want them to know that that's a good thing, you know what I mean? And they need to hear from us. I know we want to be private because we have our relationship with our husbands, not everybody's business, but I think married women becoming more bold sex will help change the way marriage is viewed and the enjoyment that we experience. So every other married lady on here, just tell me one thing you love about sex in marriage versus, sex when you were not married. Like, how's it different? Could y'all hear me?
Yeah.
I think everybody was waiting to see who was
going. Yeah.
Right.
Where you
I'm
going?
so nice.
Can you repeat that question again? I would like to answer, but just I want to make sure.
There you go. We've been looking for you, Pink. How do you, and what do you love about sex in marriage versus sex when you weren't married, now that you have this lifetime partner?
Oh, okay. Well, now I feel like you said, the bedroom is undefiled, and I can do what I want to do and how I want to do it without feeling insecure about it or like I'm doing something wrong. And to answer that question again about if it affected my marriage, it did not. But when I first became a Christian, I thought that I had to dumb down my sex life and feel like I'm a saint and not talk about the freak, because I'm a freak. And I'm proud to be a freak, but at the time when I first joined the church, I was like, oh my God, I probably can't say that I like to suck his penis or whatever. But now I'm learning that I can be free and be me. So I think it kind of improved our sex life now, to be honest with you.
Oh, she said suck his penis. Oh, you got real you got real proper at the end. You know that ain't what you call it. But okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, for me, I would say the intimacy, of course, is just different because I know that he loves me and I love him. Like, it's just different than just being with someone that, hey, I've had my moments where I was like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna just do this and that's it. I don't have to do that with my husband. I don't have to pretend. Also, if there's something I don't like, I can talk to him about it. And the same with him. He can say, yeah, I didn't like how you did that, or let's try something different. Like, it's definitely different than single sex.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anybody else? Because we got a couple more questions, then I got an activity, and then we're gonna wrap it up. Okay. So why are celebrities like Megan Thee and Cardi B so popular with teen girls? And these ladies are fine, by the way. I don't know if y'all know what they look like. Go ahead and Google it. One of some of them bought their body, some of them were born with it, but they both look good. So why are they so popular with teen girls, and what is the influence, both good and bad, on their self-esteem, those type of celebrity self-esteem on girls?
I want to
in
jump
your opinion
first. I think there's a couple things. One, there's a spiritual aspect, not to be too deep, but there's a spiritual aspect just in regards to the way that spirit of lust goes around, and it's easily planted. So it grabs holds of different individuals and wherever they are, and they're looking for ways they're vicariously living. You get what I'm saying? Through stuff. So they're gravitating to who's going to talk about it, who's going to be honest. This generation of young kids, they want people that's real. And a lot of these church folks is fake, and you can sense their lack of authenticity. You know what I mean? So they're looking at, oh, Cardi B. Everybody know I love Cardi B just for the fact that she's herself. Like, I mean, I'm not listening to music, but I can appreciate her transparency and how authentic she is. I was a stripper, I did ABCD, and go for it. And that's what young people are looking for. So they see somebody that's actually talking about it, and they're like, well, ain't nobody else talking about it. So maybe this is the right way. I know the church people saying this, but they don't talk about it at all. But I know what I feel. So they're trying to find that connection. If they found more Christian freaks, you understand what I'm saying? And that were open to talk about it, and they were able to talk about the joy of it from God's view, the church could gravitate more people. I really believe it. If we're able to put out there first, like, the beauty for one that comes from having sex with your husband and you're creating life. Let's talk about how amazing that really is. And if they could get hold of that, I really think the church could dominate and spin how it's being delivered and get ahead of the story. So it's not a matter of you heard it from the world first. No, if you was born and raised in the church, you heard it from the church first. You heard it from the world second. And we just of it. You get what I'm saying? That way, because they're feeling it, especially with all, I identify as I'm binary, I'm this, I identify as a girl, I identify as a boy. Like, you have so much of that that's going on. This lust spirit has taken over. It really, and we have to address it because these kids are feeling it. They're feeling it.
Yeah, I love the idea of the church dictating the culture of sex. That almost seems like such a foreign concept, because the pop culture has really dictated to the masses what sex is, and the celebrities and things. And the young women think that's what it is, pornography, all that. They think that's what it's supposed to be. And if people of God got to a place where we said, okay, we've been silent, but this is not exactly how it's supposed to be. Let us show you, and we're open. Oh my God, that would be so powerful. So I don't know if y'all know, but Kelly just established a Christian Freak Club. I want to make her president. Tiffany is definitely the vice president because she said penis very, very easily. I appreciate that. Okay, I'm not joking. So when you get a Facebook group invite, don't be mad at me. Here we go.
Don't forget the t-shirts.
Go ahead, Sean.
We're gonna need the Christian Freak t-shirt.
Oh, I got you. I'm working on the logo right now. You don't want no genitals in the logo. I won't put genitals in the logo.
No genitals.
I'm working on it. Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. What was the question again?
The question was, why are celebrities like Cardi B and Megan Thee so popular with girls, and what are their positive and negative influence?
Positively, you can pretty much tell like they feel very self-worthy of just being able to even speak that freely about sex and what it is that they want to do. But do we really know if they are feeling that self-worth and putting themselves out there? You know what I mean? I just feel like when we look at them or any celebrities, I'll tell you, the first thing I thought when I saw the video was, I need to get in the gym.
Girl, listen, my knees are not the way they should be.
Like, oh, okay. But so they're trying to portray positive images, but again, with the whole, it was very extremely sexual. First thing I thought when I saw it was like, this is pornography, And sometimes, like Kelly was saying, with the whole spiritual aspect of it, like anything you put your eyes on, it can get into your heart. Anything you read, it can get into your heart. So it can definitely negatively affect women, men, kids, negatively with the whole pornography thing, and just thinking like that is what we're supposed to be doing when it comes to sex.
I want to jump on some of these comments. I have like 28 comments because I haven't been paying attention. Sorry, guys. But let me get in here and get some of them. Ooh. Emily Archie says the Song of Solomon is the sexiest book in the Bible. Hello. No one preaches about that. It says, let him kiss me with the kisses of my mouth, for their love is better than wine. She is quoting the sexiness of the Bible. Thank you. Stephanie Lewis says, I believe we're all still evolving in the church from the church that Master allowed us to focus on for control. I think we're getting closer, especially with Minister Kelly Bell. Yes, she's a beast. Let's see.
Yes, Kelly.
She's a beast for real. She got a book coming out too, y'all. I don't think I was supposed to just say that, but it's coming out. Y'all are definitely fueling my conversation that I'm going to have with my new 12-year-old son. Thank you for the insight and transparency. Amber, you're welcome. Okay, this is what Kwanda said. She has boys. She's the one that has 3 boys. if you have boys and girls, it's a conversation different. How do you address the girls versus the boys if there's no male figure in the home? I want somebody to jump on that question because that's very important, because Shayla also has a son. What's the best age to talk to your kids about sex? Anybody want to chime in on that? The experts.
For me, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tasha.
So for me, I talk to both my son and my daughter the exact same way. I've also explained to my son about periods and how that it ain't funny. You know what I'm saying? You're going to run across young girls that are in class, and you need to be mindful of what's going on in our bodies, and they need to be mindful of, you need to be mindful of what's going on in your body, and you need to be mindful of what's going on in their bodies as well, because at the end of the day, that's how you make the babies when you don't know, because all y'all hormones are raging. But and I think every age, honestly, is okay to start, but it just needs to be on their level. Like, you wouldn't tell a 5-year-old the same thing you'll tell an 18-year-old, but you do should tell a 5-year-old about their body, how to make sure they're clean, what, name their body parts, make sure they know what's going on, what's not supposed to be touched, who not supposed to be touching, so that, first of all, just because you want to open up that conversation early so that you be the one who is in control of how they think about their bodies. For me, I talk to my son and my daughter the exact same way, and I've always talked to them.
That's good. I want to say another comment here from Amber. These are really good. She says, I believe that sex from the world standpoint teaches power and control. If you lack it, then you don't have control. It's teaching young girls to identify through sex, but there is more to a woman than her body parts. That's going to be a great segue to the last question that I have. Let's see, we got a couple more. Okay, so she brought up power, which is perfect because that was my last question. Is sex power? And if so, how? And is it good or evil? Now, going into that question, I want to share this with you and my opinion about this. I went to a party a while back, and there was a bunch of gay guys there, which was interesting, but they had all of these like uncut BET videos with the booty shaking and stuff on it. And I'm like, why are y'all watching this? Y'all not into this? But I guess they were trying to practice or something. But anyway, a friend of mine, and she's seen these kind of videos. She's very educated. She has like a women's study degree. And she was like, my women's study degree is just really like making my stomach turn watching all this on this video. And I explained to her that this is how these girls experience power. Some girls feel like they have no other power than the fact that when I look like this, I could snatch a man's eyeballs out of his head. He will give me whatever I want. And they take it and they run with it because they've not experienced any kind of power anywhere else in their lives, especially if you're talking about a woman of color in America, a young woman of color in America. We know we have a power hierarchy in this country. And so is sex power? Do you see sex as power for women? And if so, is it good or evil? We just gonna say chime in where you can.
Can I speak to that? Because that is definitely a paradigm that I used to come from when I first started having sex. I wanted to know him. I wanted to make him like me. Wanted all of that. And Trina told me that. Trina told me I could do it. And so Trina said that. And so when she said that, because she looked like she had the world, right? Celebrity. Her body was beautiful. She was beautiful. People loved her. I wanted that, right? And I'm gonna say, yes, it is a power, and it's not evil and it's not good necessarily. It is misguided, and it can be misguided. Good, but it can be misguided. Let me rephrase that. It is good, but it can be misguided when it's used to manipulate, to control others, right? But it is also the power to create, right? And not just to make a baby, but there's also like to go into another, but sexual energy that drives us as people anyway, especially us as women. But that's a different conversation for a different day. But
yeah, write that down. So listen, you brought up some great things. It's a power. Yes, I agree with that. But it's so multifaceted. So in the moment, this is what teenage girls need to understand, and some older women need to get this too. In the moment, when the man wants to have sex with you, and when you're having sex with a man, you feel power. You may have power in that moment, but as soon as he get his, where does the power go? The power shifts. Okay. Now you have this longing, and he's good. So there's even a power in withholding what that man wants from you. Because we know, look, old school game, like when my grandma put me on, she say, hold it, hold it, make them beg for it. And it's some songs in popular culture where men said, she made me beg for it. So there's a power in him wanting it and not being able to get it. And then there's a short-lived power, almost like a crack cocaine high. In 10 minutes, you're high gone, that power. But we want to encourage the girls to understand that your power can be longer lasting and be built on appreciation and not just attention in that moment as a sexual object. But who else has something to say? Is it power? If so, is it good or evil?
I think she kind of covered it. It's a lot of different bases, and I love the way you explained it. The power of it as, say, if you're single and you're trying to get something, but it definitely is power in it. Especially, I mean, let's think about it. Even on the married tip, it's some stuff I can do to my husband where I can get. You understand what I'm saying? It's some power. You know what I mean? But I think it gets to a place where I know that's not all the power. You know what I mean? It's a different mindset. I'm not using it to manipulate it. Maybe I just want a little person, want to do something a little extra. You know what I mean? Like, break it down. Like, there are ways you can gravitate, but I love it more so in the context. Because see, for me, I didn't use it in the beginning as that because I was scared to have it. You know, in the beginning. But now to see it, but I understand it's not my self-worth. I don't identify with it, and understand as women, y'all, we got it. The way that God created us, like when I look at Esther, you know what I mean? And a woman, there is something about a woman where there's a power that radiates out of us. And it can go both ways. It's all in how you use it. You're going to be Jezebel or you're going to be an Esther. You know what I mean? And I think that's where you have to break it down and decipher how are you going to use your power of influence, because every woman has it. I don't care what you look like, how big, how small you are, whether you thick, whether you slim thick, or whether you as skinny as all, you have power. And understand it, and you got to identify that power, I believe, rooted in God and who you are and in your purpose. And then you're going to move differently. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be mindful of certain things when you do it, but it definitely is powerful.
We can see all through the Bible the way, and not just in the Bible, just historical stories of how women cause wars. The first one we learned about in the Bible was Eve. Now, God had just told Adam she made it all of that. Eve was fine. I don't care what y'all told me. She probably looked like Megan Thee Stallion. Let's be honest. Okay. So yeah, it's a power, and we want the girls to keep it, but not in a paranoid way. But there's a balance. Like, know that you're powerful. Value what it is. Everybody shouldn't be able to get that. Not just because he bought you a Big Mac. That we got to know. Everybody can't get that. Okay.
Can I say something?
Here's a comment to read. It's some really good comments in this. I'm really gonna copy and paste this and make a book and not give y'all none of the credit. Okay, here we go. I'm just playing, Tasha. I see your face. This comment says, it was from Quanda. The thing she's told her boys was to value a girl even if she doesn't value herself. I'm telling y'all, we need more mothers raising their boys like that, especially in our culture. We need to support each other on every end. Brian, I forgot who said they were using Brian's song, but they're really feeling that what they're portraying is like smiling for the camera but crying when you're all alone. So again, I brought up in that first post with Cardi B and Megan D. I don't know if any of y'all saw Megan D's Instagram live, where she's crying because she got shot in both of her feet by her boyfriend. And she couldn't even contain herself. And so there, again, is this fantasy that you create, but without true love and true respect, that short-lived sexual power, it has to be in something else. Because everybody got a cookie. Every girl got a cookie. Okay? Every girl got some booty, she got some breasts, they all different shapes and size, you know what I mean? And if you, like my grandma said, if you got that, you can get a man. I mean, it's not that hard. So what else are you bringing to the table that's gonna solidify that respect and keep somebody from shooting you in your feet when they mad at you? You know what I mean? And then Cardi B was getting cheated on constantly. So I want the girls to see both sides. I know what those ladies are trying to do. They wanna promote, it's almost like a reverse sexism, the dominatrix type vibe. Like, I'm different. I'm not running behind these men, they're running behind me. I love that narrative. I've always loved that narrative, outside of church and in church. But our society is different. We have a different experience in this culture, and we have to navigate that in a way that, and teach the girls how to navigate that with wisdom. Okay, Tasha, difference between sexual exploitation and feminine power. Tasha, tell us the difference between that, and then we'll go to our activity. We're doing good on time.
Right. So So a lot of times we think of, and in this new day and age, we look at sex as as being feminine. But truthfully, feminine is about that goes into the deepness of who we are as women, the power that we have to create from our wombs, but even more so from our mental, from our, being connected to ourself, to our divinity in ourself in a way that transcends what we have on the outside. So to me, that's what we're talking about, a feminine power versus what the world is showing as a sexual exploitation dressed up as a feminine power.
Mm-hmm. See, they dressing it up. It's not what it is. And Dr. Thompson says the power is in being a woman. Adam said, "She is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh," before ever having sex with her. Wow, that is powerful. Going back to, now this is gonna seem completely off kilter, but I'm here to jolt y'all. So we're talking about sexuality. We're talking about teaching the girls to love themselves and know themselves. Masturbation. Where does that come in? I've heard people say, if you can't touch yourself, ain't nobody else going to touch you. Look, Tasha sat up. She was like, "Oh yeah, I like talking about sex. I did this just wrong." I have experienced a double standard when it comes to that. When we talk to kids about that self exploration, masturbation, we have these feelings. My grandma would say with her sons, when she knew they were doing something in the bathroom, when the showers was taking an hour and a half, and all the hot water's gone, and she just let them stand up. That's what they're gonna do. They boys. But what about our girls? Is there shame in that? How do you guys feel about that? Is that sin to you? I know it's not sin to you, Tasha.
Oh, can I speak on it then?
I'd like to say that I was a frequent masturbator in my teen years, and it actually helped me. I just want to go ahead and throw that out there. It helped me in my sex life right now as well.
Full transparency all throughout my life is wonderful. Okay, helps me sometimes. Just saying.
I didn't get struck by lightning or anything. I promise you.
Look at God. But so no, I think definitely, and I know this may be disagreed with because I've had to counsel couples who had to deal with things like this, but how you gonna teach your husband to know your body if you don't even know your body? You know what I'm saying? You need to be able to take a mirror, look at yourself. You need to be able to know your erogenous zones, know how your body feels, know when it's off and when it's on. You need to know yourself in and out and through and through. And part of that is exploring yourself sexually, to me, my opinion.
And me.
And I do advocate for young girls. Number one, because honestly, it is very natural. I've seen girls as young as 5, 6, and 7 years old, no history of abuse in their childhood, but they've touched themselves because it's natural. They have those feelings. They've grounded up against pillows and different things, and it is natural. Now, do we need to tell them, "Sweetheart, go in the room"? You know what I mean? Or don't let anybody touch you. You know, so that's why I believe at every age we need to have those conversations. But it is natural. Your body naturally reacts. There's stimulus. There's hormones in your body that just go. You don't have to ask them to do it. They do it. And, you know, we just need to guide them in the right way of doing it and make sure that the mental images, because I think that's part of the problem where we start to believe that it's a sin because, you know, there's a mental image that most of us as adults who've had sex and who've witnessed that we use when we masturbate, but it's a very natural process that your body just reacts. So I think it's a great thing. I think my daughter and I have had this conversation. My son and I have had this conversation. I'm not against it. And if you start to get those urges, my sweet daughter, go in your room. Before you call him, go in your room.
You know what I mean? That might be a little deterrent. You're a little hot.
Can I say something?
Go ahead and say the time.
I remember an incident, and I appreciate what the young lady just said. So my daughter and I were in the room. This was many, many, many years ago, and I was on the computer. And she said that, what does it mean when you feel kind of greedy, was her word, when you see a boy and a girl kiss? So on the inside, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, my daughter getting turned on because she's in, you know, and she was in elementary school. So that was the reaction on the inside. The outside, I told her that it was normal, you know, and that was just her body reacting. And her response, I'll never forget, it was that good because I thought I was a pervert or something. And this was elementary school. So I think outside influences, whether it's church or what you see, can impact our children. And when they do have those feelings, not to know what to say or thinking they're bad or, you know, that they're a pervert or something's wrong with them or anything like that, and being able to have that conversation says, no, that's normal. She hit it right on the head. It's normal. No, you don't even have to see anything, and all of a sudden you're feeling something. So I think, again, it's important to have those conversations, because if we don't open up the way to have those conversations, then our children will be hiding and thinking that it's something that's bad, that's negative. And I think a part of that on the spiritual side is the way the enemy uses it against us as well. So if I can tell you it's dirty and bad when you're 8, then when you're 15 and you're feeling something, then you're going to hide. You're going to be looking at pornography because that's something that you can do in secret and nobody knows. So it's so much to deal with and to understand, but I think our children can be so open. And if we set the stage for those conversations, it's great. So throughout the next few years, every now and then she say, Mom, greasy. I say, okay, you know, we just kept on going through it. But I think it's important to understand that it's natural. I know in the church, and I've heard people say that it's masturbation is sin, because you're doing something to get an arousal or a feeling that's supposed to be in the marriage bed only. So I know in the church, those are different positions on that. And again, usually they just avoid it and don't talk about it. But I think I'm glad you brought this subject up, because it is something that needs to be addressed, especially with our children. And I agree, go in the room before you call him. Go in the room.
Some Josie. Now listen, greasy, I just want to point out, greasy is the old school WAP. Did y'all catch that? WAP ain't new. It was greasy in the 1990s. I just wanted to point that out. Thank you for bringing that up, Dr. Thompson. I remember that. Okay.
I want to interject, Nat, on
yes.
that topic. And I think it does get very, I think it kind of gets very blurry, because to look at masturbation and say it's a sin, there's nowhere in the Bible that actually says that you get what I'm saying, within its fact is sin. I think the thing where it gets blurry, people don't want to talk about it, is because it gets to a place where mentally, where is your mind going? God does tell us to be mindful in regards to us lusting on things. If you lust on someone else, you've already committed adultery. You get what I'm saying? So I think that's where it gets technical in that case, where it comes to a matter of where's your mind going? It's like you're opening the door to something else. So it's like, even if you allow your child, or whatever the case is, that's in your relationship, or period, we're talking about children, if you're telling them it's okay to do it, make sure you add in that next piece to it, because you don't know where their mind about to go. You're about to get them to the place that want to do it. What type of porn are you listening? Watching? Where's your mind going? Who are you fantasizing about? Because it fascinates you first before you entertain it. And I think that's the part where you have to be mindful of. In that regard, there's another conversation to it. The actual act of it, there's nothing that says it's sin, but where is it about to take you? You know what I mean? I could, me personally, I don't really fool with it, because it take my mind somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, for me being married, if I'm at that, I'm gonna just go get my husband. So it's just a little different in the way that we kind of got it set up. And I think that it definitely is a personal thing. If you got enough self-control, you know what I mean? In that case, if you can do that in the concepts of the marriage, because where your mind's going, I think that's just the biggest thing where you're talking about it with children and not married, because the idea of, you get this gratification, and things of that nature, but that's where it gets blurry. But it's got to be talked about and understand. Don't just say, but one verse people say where the guy semen touched Scott on the ground, you know what I'm saying? But that is not necessarily the same thing as masturbating, but people just don't talk about it.
And as a expert masturbator, I would like to point out that it's misunderstood, because there's more than one way. And like you said, there you can do things with pornography, which is, or you can do it with your partner, or and as a teenager, it was more just like, I'm walking down the street and I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting here and I feel horny. It's like scratching it. It's just like, well, wait a minute. I don't want to be sitting here feeling like this. I got to do something about this. I wasn't thinking about no boy. I wasn't thinking about none of that. I was just like, I got a feeling I needed to go away and I need some relief, and I did. So if there are different layers to it, to masturbation, it's a part of sex. It's a part of the sexual journey and learning. And as I think it was Tasha that said, it changes the way you're able to have sex. When you do have sex, you understand that your pleasure in that interaction with the man is not just his responsibility, but it's also yours. You need to be grabbing some things for yourself as well. And then he get excited too. And he's like, I want to do that too. So, you know, it just changes your whole experience. Let me read some of these comments. Yeah, I'm behind on these comments. We're actually over time. So we're going to skip the last, thing on the agenda, and we're going to wrap it up. Okay, so Quando is saying a lot of stuff. So we need to have a conversation about what these conversations should look like. Basically about helping parents have these conversations with their children if they don't know how. It would be great if we could have almost like a training for that, because some parents want to do it and they never experience it themselves, so they don't know how to talk to their children. Tasha said, keeping secrets allows predators to attack our children. That is huge. The problem is secret. When things become secret, you have no idea what your child is thinking, what they're doing, because they're trying to hide it from you because they don't want you to be mad. And she's right, it opens them up to predators. Miss Emily says, how many things as a parent to have to talk to about with your students? I'm thankful we do have the Holy Spirit as a guide. He's concerned about everything in our lives. We're not alone. That's true. Finally, Quanda said, can we have a real conversation about what lust is? I think it's used interchangeably with the word desire, which is completely natural and uncontrolled. Yeah, somebody write that down. What's the difference between lust and natural desire? That would be a whole nother conversation, because lust is very is a very powerful spirit. And I think a lot of times lust is when desire gets completely out of control and it cannot ever be satisfied. And you always need to do something different with somebody different. It kind of felt physically when if you notice, like even let's say in pornography or in pornographic situations where a man will be having sex with a woman, next thing you know, it's some more people involved. Next thing you know, not a man is swinging. Okay, not a man is having sex with men and women. It's like whatever I have to do to get this feeling, I'm gonna do it. It's almost like an addiction, and it takes you over, and you're not making rational and logical decisions. But we'll get into that in another conversation, because we could have a whole one on lust. Can y'all give me 5 more minutes? Y'all good? Okay. I wanted to do a mind mapping exercise, but what I'll do instead is just ask you all to pay attention to the chat box. Take your eyes there. How can we assist parents and or ministries in helping inform teen girls so that they can make wise decisions regarding sexuality? How can we, because I'm all about action. I like talking about stuff, but not if we're not going to do anything. So what is something that we can do to assist parents? And Kwana brought that up. Can we have a forum to help train parents in talking to their girls and helping their girls make good decisions regarding sex? Go ahead and just start pouring that into the chat. And a mind mapping exercise would have looked like basically you writing the first thing that comes to your mind when you heard that question. No idea is wrong. And then also looking at what everybody else put down and see if another idea comes up and you write that down as well. So just do that while I'm wrapping this up. How can we help parents and ministries better prepare teen girls for making better decisions for about sexuality? So as y'all are typing that in, I just want to thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. This is definitely only part 1, because I wrote down like 20 other notes of things that came up that we didn't get to go into. I'm gonna go around the room and ask for final thoughts or possibly ideas for next time we have the conversation, and then we are going to conclude this discussion. My final thought will be shared at the end. I want to start with Rashawn. What are your final thoughts regarding this whole discussion and conversation?
This was great. Definitely just the beginning of conversations that are needed. I was honored to be in a room. Thank you, all of you ladies, for your input. I even learned some things for myself. One thing Tasha was saying about when we talk to our children about sex, we have to also talk about the emotional component as well. And that was one thing I didn't do. I talked to them about, this and that happening. So I was like, wow, that was really good. So that's something definitely. Now that I'm a grandmother, I mean, of course, I will leave it up to my daughter to have conversations with her children. But if she wants me to have some input, I'm going to share that with her. Don't just talk to them about, what can happen, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You also need to talk to them about the emotional component of it so that they are completely aware. So I thank you ladies for everything. This was great. I can't wait until the next chat.
Thank you, Rashawn. You've been amazing. Tasha, go ahead. Take it away, boo.
I'm like Rashawn. I'm excited and glad that I was in the company of you ladies today. This was a very good and needed conversation. As you know, as you can tell, I get excited talking about sex every aspect. I got into this because I was so misinformed as a young girl, and that is my goal in life, to really guide young women to know themselves, to make the right decisions about their bodies, and young men, but I do focus on young women and couples. So thank you, ladies, and I'm excited about the next part.
Y'all put your name and contact information if you don't mind sharing, especially if you have a business like Tasha where you coach or something like that, so the other ladies can have it. Okay. All right, Kelly. I'm just going down the line.
I think this is very good. To be completely honest, I think this is the first time I've even had the opportunity to be in the type of forum or conversation. I'm trying to role play, go back in my mind like, no, this has never happened. You get what I'm saying? Before, unless it's somebody's real and just they friends. So I think this is really good. It was a lot for me just to hearing the difference. You know what I'm saying? Some things I'm gonna implement with talking to my sons, because I'm the mother of 4 boys, and that part and how to teach them with, respecting women and things of that nature. But I love the dialogue. I feel like we're going in the right direction as we're going through this pandemic, because we know we're shifting some stuff so that when we all get out in our different avenues, we can provide those resources to do what we need to do to take back sex to the church. That's my goal. Sex back to the church.
Christian Freaks.
That's right.
All right, Ella Thompson. Unmute yourself. Okay.
I did. This has been wonderful, and seeing the young women being able to address and talk about things so openly, I think was amazing. I believe that the best lovers on the planet should be believers, because with the love of God being in us and the freedom that you have in that relationship with Him, should be amazing. It takes more to be able to keep one person satisfied than to hit it and get it with 20. So I think that it's wonderful. I love this conversation. I think it's a conversation that needs to be had. I really do believe God's going to open doors so that this conversation can be had in churches or in community centers with parents. Because in the pandemic, our children locked up in the house, they letting other people in and door. So I think this is a good time to have this conversation. I salute all the women on this call, and you, Natalie, for facilitating it. I think it's wonderful. I think God is going to do something in our culture and for our young ladies and our women that will empower us to be able to walk in our purpose as a result of this. So kudos, and I love it. I'm looking forward to the next time. Thank you, ladies.
Amen. Side note for any teenage boy that sees this, or just man, like Dr. Thompson said, hitting it and quitting it, that ain't hard. Okay, it's difficult to learn someone's body and to satisfy them on a consistent basis. So stop thinking you all that. Okay, I'm just kidding. Tiffany, what you got? I need you to dye my hair too after this. Go ahead.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Well, first, I want to say that I am honored and thankful to be a part just among some strong women that is confident to be able to talk about this. This is something that I think that really needs to be talked about and that we shouldn't be ashamed. And I'm all for it, and I can't wait to continue this. And now I know what to expect. I'm going to be dropping down some ideas for next time so I can come harder.
All right. Mama Archie.
I did it. Okay. My hair's a mess. But anyway. Okay, Natalie, just want to let you know that I have a really large vision here. And I see this on a platform where we have the facilitator and we are all working as, you're the master facilitator, but we're facilitators within small groups. And you're able to do that through this type of platform so that we can talk to the ones that need to be talked to one-on-one, and then those in the small groups to begin to educate people first about what sex is, and then to give the biblical perspective versus the world's perspective. And then there's like these different trainings or modules that we go through with them, and then having them get the information and then be able to push that out. I'm not sure what the Lord's going to do with that, but I think you just get ready. That's all I got to say. All right.
Side note, Emily Archie is a genius and an administrator, and any conversation with her ends like this. You know what? I see something here. And she's always right. Okay, thank you. Ms. Patsy, you want to say something? Kwanda? Okay.
Yes. Okay, I think it was very good information given out, although that I don't have any biological kids. And I have two nieces, but you know, I wish I had known how to speak with them earlier when they were growing up. But now they're all in college and doing whatever. But it was very good. And I will be on your next one for more information.
I love you.
I'll be on your next one for more information.
Okay. You trying to get some pointers? Got more information?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, Kwanda. You have a final thought as we wrap it up?
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying to learn, but
I just need to be more patient.
I did want to appreciate all the ladies that are on here. I appreciate all of the points of views. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I am definitely looking forward to the next ones. I don't know just one line that I would, tell a girl if she was considering, but probably just to talk with someone, as cliche as that is, to just have the conversation with a trusted adult first, and not necessarily to be persuaded any type of way, but just for the knowledge. And so that's probably it.
All right, thanks, Q. All right, Amber. I think you're the last one. I think. Yes, you are.
I would just say take your time. Make sure that you get all of the information, just not from the physical aspect, but also from the spiritual arena, so you can make an informed decision.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies, so much. Can I get all of you to take your turn your phone? Because I want to do a screenshot of y'all cute faces. Lovely. Look, everybody talking about. I want to see your face. I want to see your face, because I'm going to share this and let everybody know how great the conversation was so that they can be a part of it next time. I'm going to screenshot this. We're missing some people. Okay, y'all act like I just said something crazy. And go, uh-oh, wait, so Shayla, you were late. Now I got to do it again. 1, 2, 3, and hold it. Okay. Thank y'all so much. And y'all will be the first one to get the invite to the next conversation that we have. My email is info@natcjones.com. If you have any ideas about topics and conversations we can talk about. This was a Lady Live workshop. Again, it's all about making sure that women have the tools they succeed in life. All right, ladies, thank you so much. Have a wonderful Saturday. Everybody say sex.
Sex.
You too.
Bye.
Took another picture.